This is Kitt, my patch-restricted achievement hunter. Her goal is to complete every single achievement in Final Fantasy XIV in order of their release, one patch at a time. No player trading, no market boards. How long will it take for me to go completely insane? Let's find out. With the trials of 2.2 and the second coil now behind me, I can move on to the next patch of 2.3. Unfortunately, before I can get there are some minor patches, 2.25 and 2.28, which provide some achievements that need to be taken care of before I can reach a new batch of major content. I am so thankful for a bit of a break from the pain of fighting Nail, so being able to do something else is really nice. Starting with 2.25, I gather a ton of my old materia in preparation for the first achievement. After picking up almost all of my materia 1s and 2s, I make my way over to Mutamix's camp in central Thanalin.
I mean, true. Okay, Kitt, before you start checking his easiest patch, win the 5% Gamba because the game can give you some unholy bad luck right now.
Where I accept and complete the Marvelously Mutable Materia quest, unlocking a new function, Materia Transmutation. This allows for 5 materia to be converted into a singular materia under some rules. First, giving him materia restricts those from the reroll, so you cannot receive a materia type that you give to reroll. For example, 5 Savage Aims cannot reroll into another Savage Aim, so using 5 different types of materia means you have only 8 possible types of materia left, as 13 are eligible, 7 for combat, 3 for gatherer, and 3 for crafter. He can also randomly use one of the grades the materia provided. Additive 20% chance per materia given, so giving 3 grade 1s and 2 grade 2s gives a 60% chance of rolling a grade 1 and a 40% chance of rolling a grade 2. However, this is not always true, as there is a persistent 5% chance to have the grade increased with a special cutscene, which is what I am looking for now to earn the only 2.25 achievement.
Quick Arm 1. Sure. Those. I'm trying to get any combat material from. Oh, I got it! That took 5. Mutamix Trucy. Sorry, Maeve.
With that knocked out, I move on to the 2.28 patch, which needs a lot of prep work and materia. Before that though, I want to tackle the other half of this patch, which is the introduction of the Sightseeing log. This can be obtained from Gridania by accepting the quest A Sight to Behold near the inn. This is a very short quest that introduces the concept of the log, where the player needs to go to a location and use an emote.
She just talks about how she has incredible wanderlusts. You've seen the realm, but have you seen her? Go there and look out upon the beauty. I would hear your thoughts. Get a place for the fame.
Yeah, you just look out here.
Targeted myself. I don't know if that's correct, but I think it is. Yeah, it is. Compels me to wander. Okay, hun. Give me your log. Take safe travels. Sightseeing log is unlocked.
Oh
Boom.
shit! Kitt, we got 320 gil?
Once the quest is complete, Milith will give the player the proper sightseeing log, which comes with some cryptic clues for the locations of each vista. For ARR only, these locations are invisible, but there will be a special pop-up message in the chat box saying, "You have arrived at a vista." Once at the location, you must perform an emote, usually Lookout, but it could be some others, and the vista will be marked as complete in the log. Once the quest is done, the player is given the first 20 vistas to discover. For an example on how they work in the log, this is the entry for entry 15. We can deduce some information from it, such as the purse strings and gil, meaning Ul'dah, leaping from the vaulted gardens, implying having to jump down from an upper floor, and directly mentioning the eastmost lamppost as the location. There is also a mention of cloudy expressions breaking into smiles, which could mean clear or fair skies. But as for the time restriction, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. But once there, use Lookout and the vista is recorded. Another way to make the process easier is just by using a sightseeing log tracker for ARR, such as the one linked in the description. I do this for the first 20, which takes me a couple of days and earns the first achievement. Once all of them are finished, I return to Milith and she gives us the expanded log with 60 more vistas to complete. Once again, I just follow the guide, and after another couple days of finding any small opening between work shifts, errands, and editing, I managed to finally complete the log, earning the second achievement. When doing the sightseeing log, I aimed to do it without flight, since they were all originally designed to be possible without it. When flight was added in the ARR zones in patch 5.3, some level geometry was changed, and I want to test if all of these are possible without it, and, to my surprise, every single one is completable without flight. Now I get to move on to the relic step, the Novus. After returning to Jalzon in the North Shroud, he sends me off to Mutamix's camp to talk to one of the pupils, who describes using materia to infuse the weapon using a sphere scroll and enhance its abilities. And this is the reason I have been gathering every single materia I can since account creation. In order to make a sphere scroll, I must head to Mordona to purchase superior enchanted ink from Oriana, then return to Hubertin, who uses the ink to inscribe a sphere scroll for me for my desired weapon. Sphere scrolls are fairly complicated, but let's break it down one step at a time. This item allows the player to change the substats of the relic weapon if they desire. Even if the player wants to keep the current substats, the scroll needs to be completed with those substats. The sphere scroll allows the player to allocate 75 stat points across 2 substats of choice. In order to gain these substats, the player needs to meld materia onto the scroll, granting 1 point in that substat. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as putting on 75 tier 4 materia. Instead, 11 materia of the first tier need to be melded in order to be able to meld the next tier, and so on to tier 4. These melds are also not guaranteed, as after the 6th meld of a tier, the success chance starts to drop, first to 96%, then 90, 82, 72, and finally 60. If a meld fails, the materia is destroyed, same as trying to overmeld a piece of gear. However, the materia cannot be melded straight onto the scroll, as the player needs a catalyst to do so in the form of Alexandrite. This item is used for each successful materia meld, also meaning that it is not lost on a failed meld. Once all 75 pieces have been melded, the scroll is complete and can be used to upgrade the relic. Now, here's how I got mine done. After looking at the stocks of materia I have accrued so far, I elect to use the Savage Aim and Savage Might materias, since I have the most tier 2s for those of the bunch. With transmutation now unlocked, I tried to reroll all the remaining materia 2s, trying to get more of the savages. Once I finish, I don't quite have enough, so I purchased 2 pieces of Serpent's Sergeant gear, since tier 2 materia can be extracted from gear between item level 31 and 45, and get to spamming dungeons and crafting with as much Spirit Bond as possible, including a Spirit Bond potion, which I can buy from the Grand Company. After a lot of these, including doing dungeons during the sightseeing log whenever there was some downtime, Warrior reaches level 100, and I'll talk more about the implications of that in the next episode. As I am gaining materia, I find that I'm receiving an excess of Heaven's Eye 2 materia, so instead I pivot to that over Savage Aim. Once I have at least 14 of each tier of the 2 materias, I focus on collecting the Alexandrite. This can be collected in several ways, from the mysterious map exchange with Oriana in Mordona for only 75 poetics, completing the Morbid Motivation side quest, which rewards 1 free map per day of high-level dungeon roulette, or from farming fates with an Animus relic weapon. It is also possible with the Novus and Nexus steps, but those are this step and the one after, so I'm gonna ignore these, but we'll still mention them here. Once I finally have everything, I get to melding all the materia onto the scroll.
Let's see how this turns out, I guess. It can't go any worse than it currently already is, so let's do it. Infuse. Alright, see if we can do this. The first 6 of these are guaranteed, so bleh, whatever. And to be fair, Det direct hit isn't terrible for Warrior. I mean, I think the direct hit isn't great, but it's not terrible. Not like these are going to be BIS weapons anyway. If I can finish this step today, then we get to move on to 2.3, which will be very exciting. 96%, so 4% chance of failure. Beautiful. I get very scared for the 1s and the 2s in the hopes that it just works. Because 1s and 2s are the ones I have the least of. It failed. Okay, well that's scary. I think it was it a 4-string or an 8-string? I can't remember exactly what it was. I've had a lot of failures, but I posted it in Patchlocks here. I wrote it. I had an 8 failure on the 4% chance. I failed it 8 times in a row. So, you know, I've had horrible luck before. Alright, last one. Please just work. Cry. Unfortunate. This is the one where I need all the materia for. 2. Okay, let's start counting. How many of these? Okay, we got it. It only took 2 failures. Alright, now we get to move on to Tier 2 materia. This is the one that I'm actually afraid of. There's 1. Okay. That's bad on the 90%. That's a bad sign. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I also should have mentioned I got all the Alexandrite. Ooh. That's bad. There's still 3 I need to do, and I only have 5 left. Okay, 2 more. Oh, this is scary. 1 more? Come on, please. Don't make this all in vain. Oh, okay. We're past it. That's one of the hurdles. The rest of these... Okay, these are easy. Unless I have, like, horrendously bad luck. There's no way I run out of these. But yeah, I got all of the Alexandrite just with Poetics when I had an opportunity, when I just had downtime. I think I did it during the nail editing process. I got all my... Really? Another 90 failure. Jeez. So yeah, that's all handled. As you can see, we have the full stack here of 75 that we need for this. Number 32. The fact that you have to infuse these one at a time is so tedious. Okay, next, Heaven's Eye. Now, these are the ones that are scary, because I have, I guess Heaven's Eye 2 is, again, where it's actually scary, but I also don't have easy ways to get ones. Well, I guess I do have easy ways to get ones, if I really needed to, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. I hope this looks very enticing and interesting to everyone, where you have to click on this every single time to infuse it. And every time you have the low chance of... Every time you have a reduced chance of success, you have to hit the infuse yes box. Every time. Isn't it fun? Now for the one that's actually scary. I only have 3 failures available to me here. If I fail any of these more than 3 combined times, I have to go get more materia. So, pray that I don't have to go get more materia. My heart's racing right now. I need 2 more. I only have 2 failures left. Okay, I have 2 failures left. Okay. Okay. We're done. The hard part is past. Okay, we are good. Novus is done. Thank God. Novus is finished. God, I was so nervous about Novus failing. Like, I was terrified. Alright, last one. Beautiful. Novus Scroll is finished. 75 out of 75. And I don't need materia for anything anymore. Materia, I believe at this point now, is completely worthless to me. Unless it's exclusively for other types of melding. But there we go!
The scroll is completely melded. I then return to Jalzon with my new scroll, and using his help to push the substats onto the weapon, complete the Novus, and earn the last achievement of 2.28.
Let's put it on! Regular warrior. Oh, there it is! 110! Still not BIS, but it's okay! Oh. which means we're on to 2.3, which means I get to do new story.
Now that I can properly move on to 2.3, let's take stock of the progress so far, since I also didn't want to interrupt the narratives of the last couple episodes with these recaps. Across the last 3 episodes together, I've earned 22 more achievements up to 2.28, bringing the current total to 484 achievements earned, and adding 295 points to increase the total to 3,705. This is significant progress, and there will be so much more once 2.3 is entered properly, since the hunts make a large part of the next patch. It will be nice to be able to finally experience some new story, and a little stressful to face a set of achievements that I've been dreading since account creation. I look forward to it and hope to see you all next time.